US President Donald Trump has said his administration will soon begin targeting drug cartels on land, following months of maritime operations in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific and the recent operation to capture Venezuela's leader on drug trafficking charges. Trump claimed that the US has significantly curtailed drug smuggling by sea and said the focus will now shift to land-based actions against cartels. He alleged that cartels have a stronghold over Mexico and described the situation there as deeply troubling. The president did not provide details on how or when these land operations would be carried out. Earlier this week, Trump said he had offered US military assistance to Mexico to combat drug cartels, saying the country needs to step up its efforts. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has rejected any such intervention, stating that Mexico opposes foreign involvement in its internal affairs and maintains that intervention has never brought stability to the region. Let's take a look at the US-Mexico border and the US Army bases around the border. All right, viewers, so let me just get you this now. Now the US, let's talk about the area that the United States covers. That's at a 9.15 million square kilometers. Mexico is right here, area 1.96 million square kilometers. This is, of course, the area it covers. Now US-Mexico border is 3,145 kilometers highlighted by this line. That is what we're showing you. Now US, let's talk about US military bases around this border. So now this is the naval base, San Diego, which is at a number 1. We're talking about Fort Huachuca base at number 2. Number 3 is your Fort Huachuca base, of course, and number 4, this region is the MCAS Yuma base. Coming to El Paso base, which is right here, we move to the naval base Loma. All right, these are all the US military bases that we've shown you on that large screen. Now I have Major General P.K. Sehgal, defense expert, joining me on the broadcast. And now Major General P.K. Sehgal, welcome. And I want to begin by asking you that, of course, Mexico has taken a stand, but what is with Trump's continuous coercion over different countries?
Your audio is gone.
Major General Sehgal, am I audible to you?
Yeah, now you're audible.
Yes, Major General Sehgal. So I was asking you that, of course, now Trump's indirect coercion with different countries, now, of course, Mexico's taken a stand. What would you like to say on that?
Knowing Trump, he is definitely going to go ahead. He says 250 to 300,000 Americans are being killed every year because of the drugs, and he says there is a tremendous amount of lawlessness that is taking place. Families are being absolutely ruined because of this drug addiction, and he says drugs are coming both by land as well as sea. And as far as sea is concerned, it is being sent by Venezuela, which he says they will take care of it by massive deployments in the Caribbean. And as far as Mexico is concerned, he says Mexico is being controlled by their drug cartels, and he says he's going to carry out military strikes against them. I am not too sure whether he will succeed, because having announced so, drug cartels should or would have relocated, and they will not be at the same places where the strikes are carried out. It will cause only massive instability in Mexico, in a similar way what happened in Iraq and what happened in Libya. Libya and Iraq still continue to suffer the consequences of what America did to Saddam Hussein as well as Gaddafi. Same thing could happen here. As far as the land border per se is concerned, firstly, the US has got bases all around, and secondly, during Trump's 1-0 and now Trump's 2-0, the land border has been sealed to such an extent that virtually there is no infiltration that is taking place through the land borders. So invariably, the drug cartels are sending it through the sea route. And unfortunately, they continue to succeed in doing so. That's what Trump says. And J.D. Vance has also, the vice president, has also gone on to say that drug cartels will be taken care of and they will definitely pay the price for what they're doing. And unfortunately, these drug cartels are very, very powerful. They are more than a mafia. They're exactly of the similar variety what drug trafficking takes place from the Golden Precinct and the Golden Triangle in India's neighborhood, both east and west, and it's almost impossible to act against them. I'm not too sure to what extent will Trump succeed. It'll when you carry out attacks against the drug cartels, as I said, they would have relocated. More casualties will be caused to civilians and lesser to the drug cartels per se. And the government of the present prime minister may get destabilized. She, Trump has had a conversation with her, offered military assistance to proceed against the drug traffickers, which she rejected. She categorically stated that they are strong enough to deal with the drug cartels themselves, and there is no major drug that are being transported into America through these drug cartels or through Mexico. Now this is a contentious issue. He's had number of talks with her. He's made number of offers to her. She rejected all of them, and rightly so. Similarly, he's now wanting to target India and saying that we'll put 500% tariffs on you. What Trump is up to, nobody knows. Trump has been speaking to his Republicans that in the November election in this year, if the Republicans lose, he said he is certain to be impeached by the Democrats. Only last night or yesterday, a resolution has been passed in the American Senate, wherein they've cut down military powers that can be given or that can be taken care of by President Trump, as far as further military action against Venezuela is concerned. Even within America, almost 47 to 48% are against what he's done in Venezuela, and I'm not too sure whether Democrats or Republicans or if they bipartisan, they will permit him to do so. But unfortunately, there are no checks and balances on him. He continues to do everything through executive orders, irrespective of whether he has the sanction of the Senate or the Congress. In America, the law forbids president to undertake any military action without the sanction of the Congress. But all preceding presidents, whether it was Obama, whether it was Bush, whether it was Biden, they've all done so without taking congressional permission or sanction. I'm sure, as far as Trump is concerned, he's totally unpredictable. He's totally maverick. What he'll do, nobody knows. But having said so, that he's going to take military action, I'm very certain that he will go ahead and do something about it. Back to you.
You know, Major General P.K. Sehgal, now this isn't Trump's first tenure, and of course, now the United States consumes more illegal street drugs, viewers, than any other country on earth. So, Major General Sehgal, the question really is, then what is with Trump's continued rhetoric of not respecting a neighboring country's sovereignty, and the fact that, you know, all of what he's doing, the world of course is watching, but that will damage bilateral relations between him and between the US and a very key neighbor, which is Mexico. What would you like to say on that?
Absolutely and certainly so. The relations between Mexico and America are already at the lowest level, and if Trump carries the invasion or carries the attack on drug cartels, it is violating the sovereignty of and homogeneity and integrity of Mexico, which is not permitted as far as international laws are concerned. But Trump per se does not care a fig about international norms or international laws, nor does he believe in taking sanction of the United Nations. In fact, if he has to proceed against them, it has to be authorized by the United Nations Security Council, but he doesn't believe in doing so. As far as drug consumption is concerned, you're very right that the maximum number of drugs that are consumed by any country in the world is America. And for this reason, the families are being ruined. 250 to 300,000 people are dying because of drugs on a yearly basis. He has now decided that enough is enough. And as far as he's concerned, he will not permit entry of drugs into America from Latin America, which is one of the major sources, and second sources also from the East, the Golden Precinct and the Golden Triangle. India is the medium through which drugs are trafficked to Europe as well as to America. Now, what he'll do as far as this side is concerned, one does not know. But almost 60 to 70, in fact, he's gone on to say that 97% of drugs that come into America are coming through Latin America. And basically, whether it is from Venezuela or whether it's from Colombia or whether it's from Mexico, they are all being routed eventually through Mexico. And it is for this reason that he wants to target the drug cartels. To what extent, as I said earlier, to what extent he succeeds in actually ensuring that no drugs enter into America is a huge question mark. We can only speculate. और कल क्या होता है, nobody knows. As far as the Western world is concerned, I don't think anybody is supporting except for Britain. Nobody is supportive of what he's doing. Russia and China, obviously, and Iran and North Korea are going to condemn him, whatever he does. But he is so hell bent to ensure that, as far as he is concerned, his country is secure from every point of view. Back to you.
Major General Sehgal, if the US proceeds now with this hardline approach against cartels, how do you think global powers like Russia and China will interpret this, considering this is so close to their areas of strategic interest?
I totally agree. It may be very close to the areas of strategic interest, but there is nothing that either Russia or China could do. They can give only moral support, they can give them diplomatic support, they can give them political support. But if America goes ahead or Trump goes ahead and undertakes military action, there is no way, absolutely no way that China or Russia could intervene. Because they know intervening in China, in America's neighborhood, is contrary to the 1823 Monroe Doctrine, and Trump under no circumstances will permit it. And they are in no position whatsoever to undertake a military confrontation with America at this point of time, particularly Russia when they are badly involved in Ukraine. And as far as China is concerned, China's main area of interest and focus at this point of time is Taiwan. If somehow or the other America gets involved in any conflict with either Russia or gets involved in Iran, China is bound to take advantage of it and invade Taiwan. Back to you.
Major General Sehgal, thank you for joining me on the broadcast. And now